Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. Well, it's hard to believe, but another summer is gone, and it's amazing how quickly temperatures can change around here. Up to about a couple of days ago, it was mid to high 20s with a fair amount of humidity, so still kind of sticky and warm, and cool at night, but still roughly in the mid-teens, maybe a little closer to 12 sometimes. And then all of a sudden it rained for a couple of days, and things went down to roughly in the low 20s, like 21, 22, and getting into almost single digits at night. So I had to look at the weather forecast, and it was calling for highs of probably 15, 16, 17 degrees for most of the week. And then, of course, at night, it was going down to single digits for sure. Some of them down to around almost 4. So it was time to take this apart, because once it gets down to those kinds of temperatures, it never warms up, and the guppies are not going to do well. So as you can tell, as this progresses, it is still raining a little bit, fortunately not hard. And what I'm going to do is, as you see, I've pruned back all the surrounding plants just to give better access. And as you can see, some of those leaves are already beginning to turn because, well, we're getting close to the end of September. So I have a bucket here, and I'm going to fill it with about 5 gallons of this water, which is really actually quite healthy and clear. And I am going to take all the plants out and put them in the bucket, and then I'm going to catch all the fish, of course, and there's also a fair amount of shrimp and scuds in here, so I'm going to try and catch as many of those as possible. And that reminds me, one of the things I will need to do is put up a poll, because I want to know, I've had a couple of comments, people interested in seeing me take this tub, basically, and put it in the basement and stick some extra light on it and see if I can keep this going over the winter. And, you know, no filtration, just, like I said, just the way it is here, but in my basement instead of outside. I'm not sure. I've never tried it before. I mean, I do obviously have my indoor pond, but it is filtered. So we'll see how that goes. I'll put the poll up, and we'll see what kind of interest there is. And then, of course, I have to see if I can find any floor space for it, because it does take up a fair amount of room. So yeah, I'm just going to pull up buckets of this, and then I'm going to start removing everything. One of the things I want to do in this video is do a comparison. I want to... once it's down in the basement, I am going to show you each of the individual plants. I'm going to talk to you about how they have changed, how they fared throughout the summers. I mean, the spring was really hard on them. It was quite cool for quite a while, and a lot of them died back. So I want to talk a bit about that as well, and see which ones have bounced back, and see which ones have, you know, done reasonably well at least. And then, of course, after that, we're going to get final clips of the fish and how they survived. And unfortunately, because it was such a short season, we're talking less than 8 weeks altogether. It wasn't really that long for them in there. But one of the things I noticed as I caught some of the fish out, there was one female that really, really yellowed up nicely. Obviously was getting a fair amount of keratin in her diet. I unfortunately was not able to photograph her, or record her I should say, in the aquarium, because she was hiding in the back. I mean, they were used to this, and they went to an aquarium, and it's going to take them, you know, a week or two to get comfortable and, you know, come out and get food and all that sort of stuff. So I wasn't able to record that. In general, the fish did fine. There wasn't any, you know, death as far as I can tell. All the fish I put in there came out, and of course they had some babies, which is really quite nice. And this plant here obviously did the best. That is the red Luigia, and it thrived. It didn't do anything in the way of dieback at all. It did get a little stringy in the sense that it was growing, well, reasonably well, but the old leaves and the stuff near the bottom of the pond was not getting something, and it was that part was not as healthy, but the ones that were up near the surface did very well. I was very happy with that. So again, you're going to see all this in greater detail here in a few moments, just after I catch a few more things out. One of the things I can see is raining now, and I got to the point where I was deciding that I couldn't see any more babies. I wanted to let it settle out a little bit, and I went back the next day and I caught out the rest of the baby fish. It wasn't too cold at that point, but it had definitely cooled off a bit from here. This water is actually quite comfortable. The water temperature, I would put it at the mid 70s, or say 24, 25, which is fine. And then overnight it dropped quite a bit to probably the high 60s or high teens. So yeah, it didn't take long. And I haven't gone out actually now to see if this is a few days later to see if it had actually cooled off much more than that, but I'm going to, and then of course we'll see whether we're going to take it inside or not. So this is Vallisneria, and I don't think it died off much at all. A little bit, but you can see that it is a lot more green than the stuff that's in the aquariums. The tips are really quite nice. It's actually a really healthy plant. It's doing very well. And I think it's probably one of the two plants that actually thrived being outdoors. It, like I said, it did really, really nicely. So this is the Red Luigia. It is obviously the plant that did the best. As you can see, it is it's huge. It is doubled over in here. It needs to be cut back. I didn't want to do that right now because I want to show it to you in the aquarium. But it needs to be pruned and replanted and trimmed and all that stuff. And of course repotted, and of course I'll get a bunch of new plants out of it. As you can see, it is doing very well. I was very happy with how it did out there, and again, it did not die back at all. I didn't notice anything at all in it. It was fine in the cold, and it was fine when it was hot, so I was very happy. This hornwort, it's alive. The ends are quite green, and it's healthy as far as that goes. But you can see as it gets further back from the stem, like the leading end of the stem, it is quite stringy and quite sparse for needles. If this had been left inside in one of my aquariums, it would have filled the tank by now. So obviously it is not doing anywhere near as well as it would indoors. Kind of a surprise, actually, to tell you the truth. I thought as long as it survived that initial cold weather in the spring, it would, fill the top of the pond, but it did not. So it was, like I said, a bit of a surprise there. So this is Java Fern, and it died back. I thought it was actually dead, but it came back. Once it started warming up, you can see these leaves are quite healthy. It's a happy plant. Unfortunately, of course, all the old growth that was originally put in there had all died, but it's coming back. If it actually had stayed in there for another month or two, you probably wouldn't have even noticed the difference as far as the amount of material there. So it's fine. I mean, I'm happy that it survived. So this is after I set up the aquarium. I think it was the next day. So I used a lot of the pond water, of course, because that was the chemistry they were used to. And it still hasn't cleared up yet. You can see there's a bit of cloud between here and the filter. But the plants are looking good, and the fish are fine. Most of them are still camera shy, so they're in the back somewhere. So I didn't really give you much of a view of them. Again, there wasn't really that much of a change in it, except for that one female who really, really colored up nicely. And hopefully for Sunday's vlog, I will give you a much better recording of her. But those plants are just amazing. I mean, very happy with, the Vallisneria, the Red Luigia, and even the Java Fern for that matter. So leave comments. Let me know what you think. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.